Lesson 1-8, Subtracting Rational Numbers. So in this video, we're going to look at subtracting positive and negative rational numbers. So the subtraction principle says to subtract any rational number, add its opposite. A lot of times adding is a lot easier than subtracting. So when you're using the adding its opposite, it may make it a little bit easier for you to think what's happening there. So we're going to be subtracting with like signs. So keep in mind when you're subtracting like signs, it's going to say minus a negative number. So subtracting the absolute value. So if the first number is a negative, the other number is going to be a negative. So it's going to be a negative minus a negative, which really means the signs are opposite when you simplify, because it's going to be a negative plus a number. But anyways, we're going to subtract the absolute value of the lesser number from the absolute value of the larger number and use the same sign as the larger absolute value. So this is going to be like the opposite of what you did with addition. And then subtract with unlike signs, you're going to add the opposite and use the same sign as both numbers. Both of these rules, it's going to make sense once you see some of the examples. So first one, estimate by rounding first and then find the difference. So we're going to round this one. So negative 2.1 would be negative 2 minus, and a negative 0.2, we would say that would be just like 0, which will give us an answer of negative 2. Now let's find the exact difference. So I have negative 2.1, and if I'm subtracting a negative, I'm really adding. So that really means I'm adding 0.2 to it. So I borrow, I get 1. 11 minus 2 is 9. 1 minus 0 is 1. The answer is going to be negative because negative 2.1 is bigger than negative 0.2. So our answer would be a negative 1.9, which, as you can see in our estimated answer of negative 2, we were very close. Next, 2 1/3 minus 1 1/4. So I'm just going to round. So this will be 2 minus 1, which would give us 1. So now common denominators to find the exact is 12. So I'll multiply this by 4/4, this side by 3/3, and we're left with 2 4/12 minus 1 3/12. And when I subtract them, I get 1 1/12, which is very close to our estimate, which we said was 1. Next, estimate these first by rounding and then find the exact. So this would be negative 8 minus 4, which will give us a negative 12. And how do I get negative 12? Well, if I add its opposites, it's negative 8.1 plus a negative 4.33. So that's where we get the negative 12. Now let's find the exact answer. So I have negative 8.1, and I'm going to be adding a negative 4.33. And I get 4, or not 4, that should be 3 here. And then I got 1 plus 3 is 4, and then a negative 12.43 as our difference. This next one, let's simplify or round first. So that'll be about 3 minus 4, which will give us a negative 1. Common denominators is 20, so multiply this by 4/4. So I have 2 16/20 minus 4, and multiply this side by 5/5, 5/20. So we should get, so since the signs are different, we take the bigger one. So this would be 4 5/20 minus 2 16/20. Now I can borrow here and I get 3. I gain 20 here. So because that 20/20 is 1 whole. So 25 minus 16. 25 minus 16 would give us 9. So we got 9/20. And 3 minus 2 is 1. So 1. And this would be a negative 1 and 9/20 because negative 4 and 5/20, the absolute value of that is bigger. So our answer would be negative 1 and 9/20, which is close to our estimate, which we said was negative 1. Next, we're just finding the difference. So here, if I add the opposites, I have negative 1/8 plus 3 and 3.56. So for this one, I'm going to change that to a let's change the negative 1/8 to, let's just change it to have just all fractions here. So this would be negative 1/8 plus a negative 3 and 56 over 100. And if I simplify this by 2 halves, this will give us 28 over 50. Divide this by 2 again. This will give us 14 over 25. And I think I'm going to just get common denominators, make that easier. So the common denominator would be 200. So that means I would have to multiply 8 times 25. So that would give us 25 over 200 minus, or plus a negative 3 and multiply that by 2. So 56 times 2 would give us 112 over 200. And then if I were to add them together, this would give us a negative 3, and 112 plus 25 would give us 137 over 200. And let's just double check our answer on our calculator. So parentheses, I had negative 1 divided by 8. And for that one, we were adding a negative 3.56. And if I put that as a fraction, negative 737 out of 200. So negative 3 times 200 is negative 600, plus a negative 137 is negative 737. Moving on to the next one. Here we have some decimals and whole numbers. So if I'm subtracting a negative, I'm really adding. So that's 16 plus 6.7, which is 22.7, and I'm subtracting 9.82 from it. Borrow, 10 minus 2 is 8. Borrow here, 16 minus 8 is 8. 21 minus 9 is 12. So our answer would be 12.88. Next, find the difference of these. Here, I'm adding the opposites. So here, I'm going to change 1 and 7/16 to a decimal. So let's change that. So 1 times 7 divided by 16 gives us 0.4375. So we have a negative 8.500, and we are adding a negative 1.4375. Then we do that again. So that'd be 7 divided by 16. So 1.4375. Then we can do, since they're both negative, we're just adding these together. So that's 5. Good, just double check. That was a 7. So 7, 3, 9, and negative 9 point. So negative 9.9375 would be our answer. This other one, we are adding the opposites. So this would be, and I'm going to put this as a decimal. So this is multiply this by 2 halves. So that would be a negative 0.6 plus 4.6, which will give us an answer of 4. And our last one, find the difference here, adding the opposites. So this is all adding. So 11 plus 3 is 14, plus 1 is 15. And then we have 1 plus 3 is 4, and then 2 plus 0 is 2. So 15.42. This next one, add the opposites. So now we have negative 6 minus 9 is negative 15. Negative 15 minus 4 is negative 19. And then we have a positive 3.5. So I'm going to take 19.0 minus 3.5. Borrow, 5. 18 minus 3 is 15. Since 19 is bigger than 3.5, I use the negative sign, so a negative 15.5. So that is our lesson on subtracting rational numbers.